green light is on.
Our green lights are on. All right, moving right along. To my knowledge, there are a few switches in the agenda, but we'll hit them as we get to those items. I would like to have a motion to accept the planning consultant's meeting notes.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. I don't believe I have any correspondence on non-agenda items or announcements. Anyone else have anything along those lines? All right. The reminder is tomorrow night, we have our joint public hearing with the Village Planning Board on the matter of the Thomas Thompson sale in Mazzarella Park at 7:30 over at Village Hall. And there'll be a sign-up sheet. And Dave Miller and I, we spoke today, and we will be concluding the meeting at 10 p.m. We will be continuing that public hearing to a time to be determined tomorrow night. So it will not be wrapping up tomorrow night. It will be beginning. And
Wait 4 minutes.
wait 4 minutes. Yeah, no other announcements, nothing interesting?
Well, we have a training class coming up.
Yes,
That's
we
pretty
do on the
interesting.
24th.
24th,
Yes.
yes.
They usually do supply snack and coffee.
Yeah.
There's that to look forward to.
Oh, yeah.
And with Seeker, maybe they'll be discussing the new Seeker.
That's what they are going to
Yeah,
do.
that should be exciting.
Yeah. It was 2 sessions.
Yes.
Right.
Second part is the new seeker, right?
I think it was the second part. So the first part, I think, is special use permit or something, a site plan, and then the second part
Oh, I
was...
thought it was basic seeker.
One is one.
Maybe it's both Seeker. I thought one was something, and then the other was Seeker.
Yeah.
One
I
is
don't
seeker,
know.
one's something else.
Yeah, I don't remember what the something else is, but I'm sure it's going to be captivating.
It will be.
Michael,
Yes, sir.
would you reinforce the time of tomorrow night's meeting?
Yes, at 7:30 at the Village Hall, and,
That's all. I just wanted to make sure
Yeah.
it wasn't 7:30, it was 7 and not 6:30.
yeah, no, 7:30 at Village Hall. I think the Village Planning Board, prior to us getting together for this, is doing some business, I'm not sure. That's why they wanted to do this at 7:30.
Yeah, it's on their website at 7:15.
Yeah, so they have some previous things to do. Oh, there are two things to add to the agenda tonight. We have two referrals from the ZBA on variances. One for the Lions special use permit.
Yeah, I built that into the discussion, Michael, in the notes.
Okay. And the other is for the,
The mobile
a
station?
number of variances, the mobile station at 9 and 9G was requesting. And what I have is I have the ZBA files, which I went down and borrowed, for us to look over with all the different renditions and things like that. But we have to return them. They're going to need them Wednesday night.
Okay.
They're open now, right?
They're open, but they have no legal signage.
Okay,
they have
cardboard
signage?
They
sign.
have signage,
It's not legal.
it's not legal.
Michael, while it doesn't affect an agenda item, maybe we acted on it last meeting. Did you act on the Wiles Cortella area variance at the last meeting?
Yes, we did, we gave a
Okay.
recommendation
Okay,
to
fine.
the
Yeah.
ZBA, and then I
Make sure it
believe
had-
they acted on that.
Okay.
Okay, we have our first public hearing this evening. Ramapo for Children, Camp Ramapo, off Salisbury Turnpike, wetlands permit and site plan approval. Continuation from July 15th and August 19th, 2013, of public hearing on application for wetlands permit under Town Code Chapter 120, wetlands and application for site plan approval under Town Code Chapter 125, zoning, Section 12574, to authorize proposed construction of a 6,240 square foot staff residential building and a 4,375 square foot multi-use building and associated site improvements within the Anchorage area of the 250-acre camp property in the rural countryside RC5 district as subject to revised plan set dated April 19th, 2013, with drawing 3 of 6, proposed site plan further revised to May 14th, 2013, being an unlisted action under seeker. Planning board review of comments by acting planning board engineer, wetlands consultant, and CAB, and further consideration as may be timely under town codes and secret. Take it away, Ramapo.
Adam Weiss, CEO. I'll just speak for a moment, and then I'm going to turn it over to Tom, who's going to talk about the changes to the site plan. But just one update, we've had some really good conversations with our neighbors on Ann Drive, and after a lot of discussion, we have revised the site plan. We are going to put in a fence. It's about an 800 feet of fence, a stockade fence. It will run along the camp road, and I think we've agreed should create some, I don't want to speak on your behalf, but certainly some privacy and a barrier, and I think we all, at least from our perspective, feel comfortable moving forward in that vein. Then regarding sort of wetland stuff and lighting, I'll turn that over to Tom.
My name's Tom Harvey with Morris Associates Engineers. We've made, as was mentioned, changes to the site plan to show the 800 feet of fence, which is along the existing road, extending from an existing fence pretty much up to the driveway near where the new buildings are going. So that's been shown on the site plan and submitted to the town. That is in response to visual, sound, and privacy concerns from the neighbors. The other change that was made is in response to public comments as well as engineer comments, where we were previously discharging the water from the gravel driveway runoff across the camp road toward where the neighbors are. In response to the concerns that the neighbors already have problems with that drainage, now we're discharging that water to an on-site existing wetland, and that wetland is able to provide additional storage so that the peak flows after the development are not increased. In the meantime, we're working with the health department. They have a few comments to address their comments, and we're hoping to be able to move forward with the project.
I think the first thing, I guess what I want to do is, I don't believe we have a sign-off yet from our engineer. I guess there were some comments you were still working on with our engineer?
You were submitted to address his comments.
Okay.
He expected to have a review, and if not a review, expected to call you before the meeting to let you know what his thought were.
I know he's been doing a review, but I don't believe we've received anything. Joni, did we receive anything from Aaron? Okay. Our email has been down all last week and this week, so. And the other thing I think we're waiting for was a sign-off on the wetland mitigation. Just a written sign-off.
What kind of sign-off? From the wetland consultant?
Right, basically,
I thought he did write a letter and was satisfied with the prior letter from
He was?
about a month ago.
okay, I know we got a
I can
report
look
from
for that in
him.
my file if need be.
I believe we did get a report. I don't recall if it was an actual sign-off on the final plan.
Is there a formal form or
No, he
a,
would just write a letter on his letterhead saying, approving, reviewed it, seen it, this is fine, this does what it's supposed to do.
I believe he had text to that extent in his letter.
Okay, that may well be true. That may well be true. And Joni, I think, is looking for what's coming from our engineer.
Would you like me to look for that letter while she's looking for the engineer's
If you
letter?
think you might have it in the file, that would
I
be
might.
very helpful.
Michael, unless the board has any problems with the matter at this point in time, neither one of those items is in fact a showstopper. The draft resolutions I've prepared on your behalf include the possibility of there being an outstanding comment or two from one of those individuals, either the acting engineer or the wetlands consultant, and simply provides that there needs to be a sign-off letter presented to you before you would be able to sign the site plan.
So I guess the other thing we're looking for here
Well, they're here.
is just the acquiescence, if that's the right word, that the neighbors are indeed, the issues of lighting, privacy, and the drainage issue that came up at the last meeting, which I believe is what you're discussing, has now been redirected, the drainage back into a wetland, that the neighbors are indeed happy?
Yeah, I think the only question that we might have at this point in time is a timeline. The only, fence would not be built, early in construction phases, but, at what point in time could we would expect that would be reasonable for us to expect that would be done? And that's really only because in previous years, when a fence was promised by different administration, it was
I think Art has a comment on that.
The draft resolution that I referred to provides that the fence would have to be installed prior to the issuance of the certificate of occupancy for the proposed buildings.
So I think then, does CAB have anything further they wanted to add?
We have a question about the mitigation plan and how is that going to be maintained? I see here in our notes, there's a 3-year plan. So it would be similar to what we're doing over the bank site. We can have regular visits, make sure that it's working according to plan.
Interesting. Or are you thinking of the CAB doing the visits?
Or,
Or Norbert?
Recognized, planning board, wetlands consultants. I mean, we could certainly assist as we're doing with the bank site. We document, we photograph, and then we send it to the consultants so that there's not as much time. They don't come out to the site.
Right.
Simple photographs are easy for them to verify that the progress is being made.
Well, that is what we established with a bank, and that has been more or less, now with the new mitigation plans, what we've been doing. Basically, what it would be is that over that 3-year period, there would be, the wetland consultant would be available to just review annually how the mitigation is going. Is it working? Is it functioning? Are the plants surviving? Is it basically doing what it's supposed to do over that 3-year period? And that's something I think that we would probably work into the resolution of approval.
It's there already.
Yeah, and it's there already, so there you go. So probably what you're going to want to do is sit down with the CAB and work out exactly how that will be accomplished.
Yeah, we put some timeline together, seasonal timeline when the visits would happen. And we have a model from another site that we're doing that we could exchange that info and come up with.
Makes sense.
Thank you.
Any comments or questions from members of the board?
Yes, I have a comment. I'd like to address my comment to you. I want to appreciate your responsiveness as an organization and as the head of the organization to the neighbors' concerns. You guys have done a super job, and we chomped on you. I did particularly, chomped on you a little bit. You also deserve credit for doing what you did. Thank you.
Anyone else in the public have anything they wish to say? Okay.
One question about the fence. I assume it's going to be raised up off the ground. Does it come all the way down to the ground?
It depends on the terrain. I'm sure to try to keep the fence straight.
We want to keep it so that because of the snow removal and stuff, and want the snow to actually hopefully, because it's right near the road, to be able to. Pretty about 2 feet up.
It is a landing score habitat where we want to be able to, the turtles to be able to get under the fence.
Turtle crossing. You can put up a turtle crossing sign.
There's an extra one on Mill Road.
Okay. Okay, I have any comments or questions from anyone else? I'd like to close the public hearing, but before I do that, I have a draft seeker resolution that we have to do, just for you to consider. Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board hereby acts with uncoordinated environmental quality review as follows in the matter of proposed action involving applications by Rhinebeck for Children, Michael Coonan, Executive Director, for site plan review and approval under Town Code Chapter 125 zoning and for wetland permit under Town Code 120 wetlands to authorize proposed construction of a 6,240 square foot staff residential building and a 4,375 square foot multi-use building and associated site improvements within the anchorage area of the 250-acre camp property in the rural countryside RC5 district, all as depicted or otherwise described in the applications and supporting documents, including a bound set consisting of 7 sheets of engineering drawings dated March 18th, 2013, and revised to
September 5.
September 5, 2013, an engineer's report, water supply and sanitary sewage facilities dated July 2013, and a drainage analysis dated August 13th and revised to
August 7th.
This is cool. August 7th, 2013. All is prepared by Morris Associates, 2 sheets of related architectural drawings, including floor plans, site plan, and elevations, prepared by Mazzarelli Architecture and Planning, PC, dated March 29, 2013, a DC DOH approval email as to well location and full EAF Part 1 certified Mr. Coonan, dated April 17, 2013, with supporting project narrative and other information, including a wetlands and habitat letter, report by Ecological Solutions, LLC, and a commitment to install some 800 lineal feet of stockade-type fence on camp property to mitigate in combination of natural vegetation shall be retained, the visual effects of the camp, and occasional trespass by its staff on nearby residential properties. 1. Determines upon review of the EAF Part 1, certified by Mr. Coonan, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Okay. And its own completion of EAF Part 2 in consideration of the criteria for determining significance set forth in Title 6, Part 617.7C, NYCRR, including potential effect on neighboring properties, and the proposed action as described in the application and being an unlisted action will cause no potential negative significant adverse impact on the environment, and thus issues a negative declaration, determination of non-significance, deeming an environmental impact statement to not be required and stating that such will not be prepared. 2, authorizes the chairman to execute the first page of the full EAF and directs the planning board clerk to distribute the file without requirement for publication, the annexed negative declaration in the manner set forth within the secret regulations, Title 6, Part 617.12 NYCRR. Could I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Could I hear a motion to close the public hearing?
So be it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. And we have an approval resolution for you after the public hearings are completed for tonight. And there'll be just conditions about, the final sign-up, if that's what we need from Aaron, if that's what we need, help, that sort of thing. Those will just be conditions. Once those are in my hands, I can then stamp and sign the final plan for you, site plan, so you can get your building permits. All righty. Our next public hearing, Corview Properties LLC, Middle Road Special Use Permit and Site Plan Approval. Public hearing and applications for special use permit pursuant to Town Code, Chapter 125 zoning, Section 12520 and 125-68EE, and site plan approval in the matter of the establishment of a special event venue on tax map parcel number given in the Office Research Park District and being an unlisted action under seeker. The issue with this is we're opening the public hearing tonight, but because the notice didn't go out in a timely manner, we're going to have to carry over until our next meeting. I understand there were some issues getting the EAF complete and whatnot, so that by the time we were able to do the circulation and whatnot and notification, we didn't have sufficient time to meet the state regulations. So we're going to open the public hearing tonight, and we're going to continue it until our next meeting, which will be October
21.
21 at 6:35. All in favor? I mean, wait, I have a motion to do so. Second? Any questions or, all in favor?
Aye.
Very good. And I think you understand what the problem was here. That's why we have to continue it to next time.
Dan, were you able to submit the copies of the applications that were submitted to the Health Department? Those have been submitted to the Planning Board office?
Yep.
Okay, fine.
And I will transmit that effect.
Okay, that was the only, I hadn't touched base on that basis, and that's the only outstanding question that I had.
But to my understanding now, the thing has been published in the paper, and I know the sign's out there, and the notification did finally go out. So right now, this is the notification that the meeting has been continued.
Which part of the notice requirement was not timely met?
I don't recall.
Was it publication or
I think it was publication.
publication?
Because there was just some time getting the EAF straightened out. Part
Okay.
one. Okay, moving right along. We're actually 5 minutes to go.
If you've got 5 minutes, you can turn to the resolution on Ramapo.
Excellent idea.
And as you go through it, I will, to the extent that I can, I will fill in a couple of blanks which relate to just drawing.
Okay.
There are a couple of others that John will have to fill in for the file, but they don't affect
We'll get them.
the content of the application.
Okay. The Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board hereby acts as follows on the April 19, 2013 applications by Ramapo for Children, Michael Coonan, Executive Director, for site plan review and approval under Town Code Chapter 125 zoning, and for wetland permit under Town Code Chapter 120 wetlands, to authorize proposed construction of a 6,240 square foot staff residential building and a 4,375 square foot multi-use building and associated site improvements within the anchorage area of the 250-acre camp property in the rural countryside RC5 district, otherwise described in the applications and supporting documents, including a bound set consisting of 7 sheets of engineering drawings dated March 18th, 2013, and revised to
September 5.
September 5, 2013, an engineer's report, water supply and sanitary sewage facilities dated July 2013, and a drainage analysis dated August 2013 and revised to
August 7th.
August 7th, 2013. All is prepared by Morris Associates, and 2 sheets of related architectural drawings, including floor plans, site plan, and elevations, prepared by Mazzarelli Architecture and Planning, PC, dated March 29th, 2013. A D. Dutchess County Department of Health approval email as to well location, and a full EAF Part 1 certified by Mr. Coonan dated April 17th, 2013, with supporting project narrative and other information, including a wetlands and habitat letter report by Ecological Solutions, LLC, and a commitment to install some 800 lineal feet of stockade-type fence on camp property to mitigate in combination of natural vegetation that will retain the visual effects of the camp and occasional presence by its staff on nearby residential property, all being part of a proposed action subject of a negative declaration of determination of non-significance heretofore issued by the planning board. In consideration of the application for wetlands permit under Town Code Chapter 120 wetlands to authorize work within approximately, and we'll get that acre.
It's half acre.
Half acre?
Yeah.
0.5 acre of town-regulated wetland and associated buffer as described in the, we'll get the date.
No.
2013, you have the date?
In the aforementioned reports by,
And subject of a, this is the jurisdictional
that needs
determination?
to be filled in.
I'm sorry?
We'll get that date from the
Okay.
file.
Jurisdictional determination letter from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and including the undertaking of the wetland mitigation plan components depicted by engineering drawings sheet, and we'll get those,
You can delete the sheet reference, simply engineering drawings prepared by Morris.
entitled, prepared by Morris, and we'll get the date.
September 7th is that date.
September 7th.
September 5, I'm sorry.
September 5, 2013. A, determines that the work proposed will be of no substantial effect on the protected wetlands in consideration of the standards set forth in Town Code Chapter 120, 2010. B, grants the requested wetland permit pursuant to Chapter 120 of the Town Code and subject to the following prerequisite conditions and/or requirements. Modification of the above-cited engineering drawings, and the sheet number we'll get, to address to the satisfaction of the town's wetlands consultant, Norbert Quinzer of Bagden Environmental, and the planning board chairman, any outstanding comments as set forth in Mr. Quinzer's review memorandum of that day. Payment of any outstanding fees or reimbursable amounts due to the town of Rhinebeck with respect to the submission, review, and processing of this application under Town Code Chapter 120, the town's fee schedule, and executed escrow agreement. C, requires as a condition of said wetlands permit the installation of depicted soil and erosion control measures prior to the start of site disturbance and their workmanlike maintenance throughout the site development construction period. D, further requires as a condition of said wetlands permit the replacement of any plantings installed as part of the approved wetlands mitigation plan for a period of 3 years from the time of installation.
With this condition implemented by joint arrangement with the Conservation Advisory Board and the town's wetland specialist.
Excellent. 2, in consideration of the application for site plan review and approval under Town Code Chapter 125 zoning, inclusive of the aforementioned compendium of engineering drawings, engineer's report, and drainage analysis by Morris Associates, and architectural drawings of Mazzarelli Architecture and Planning, PC, and other supporting documentation. A, the planning board approves the application for site plan approval and authorizes the chairman to stamp and sign the site plan upon the applicant's satisfaction of each of the below conditions and/or requirements within 6 calendar months of the adoption of this resolution. 1, granted the aforementioned wetlands permit. 2, documentation of the securing of design approval from the Dutchess County Health Department for proposed on-site water supply and sanitary sewage facilities. 3, modification of the site plan drawings to address to the satisfaction of the town's acting planning board engineer, Weston and Sampson, and the planning board chairman, any outstanding comments as set forth in Mr. Pethick's review letter, with the date to be given. 4, payment of any outstanding fees or reimbursable amounts due the town of Rhinebeck with respect to the submission, review, and processing of this application under Town Code Chapter 125, the town's fee schedule, and executed escrow agreement. A, in taking this action, the planning board further authorizes the ZEO to issue a certificate of occupancy for the proposed 6,240 square foot staff residential building and 4,375 square foot multi-use building and associated site improvements and associated site Upon the applicant's completion of all work set forth on the approved site plan, including both the wetland mitigation plan component and the installation in its entirety of the proposed 800 lineal feet of stockade-type fencing, and the satisfaction of other codes, laws, rules, or regulations within the purview of the ZEO and/or building inspector, including but not limited to the requirements of the New York State Uniform Building, Construction, and Fire Prevention Code. Could I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll poll the board. Bob?
Aye.
Richard?
Aye.
Sharon?
Aye.
Woody?
Aye.
Jesse?
Aye.
Melody?
Aye.
Right there. Ooh. And I vote aye.
We just read it.
6:55.
65, we just approved your, so you can stay if you want, but you don't have to.
You want a copy?
Additionally, can demo of the site start conditionally with no new building or no?
I think that's a building department issue.
That's a building department issue.
Yeah, you'd have to talk to the building inspector to get a,
Say that. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
that would be, yeah.
Thanks.
You're on your
You
way.
need a separate grading permit to do that. in
Yeah,
advance. I think you need a grading permit in advance of,
Yeah, you may.
but that's not the planning board.
That's, yeah, that, the building inspector will say that. Okay, our next public hearing is
Joanne Gray and John Lott.
Joanne Gray and John Lyons, 224 Morton Road, special use permit. Public hearing on application for special use permit under Town Code, Chapter 125, zoning, Section 12540A3, developing your water body to authorize construction of 384 square foot accessory storage building on 8.504 acre parcel in the Historic Preservation HB 20 district in the town's local waterfront revitalization area, being an unlisted action under seeker. And good Lord, you did get whacked.
Yeah. I'm happy to have my left eye though still, so
I was going to say,
that's the bright side.
if you can explain to the people what we're going to have you do here.
And before John does that, Joan, we have certification of notice and posting requirements having been met.
Since Friday.
As pointed out in my meeting notes, or my supplement to the meeting notes, we understand the nature of the status of the proceeding before the ZBA, and we'll rectify that this evening. Hopefully, the planning board will address that. The board has comments from the Waterfront Advisory and the Waterfront Advisory Committee and the CAB, basically indicating consistency with coastal policies. And after John's presentation, there's a need for a report of field visit by planning board members and public comment.
Take it
Okay,
away.
thank you, Art. The project is seeking a special use permit for a storage shed. Our property's about a little bit more than 8 acres. Storage shed will be 384 square feet. It'll be a prefabricated structure that'll be placed on a concrete pad. The shed will be located against the wood line, a little bit to, I guess it would be the northeast of our existing accessory building. It'll have electricity. It will not have water and wastewater. It won't be used for parking any vehicles. It's going to have 3 barn-style doors in the front. Its design, it'll have a cupola, clapboard siding design. The color scheme will be designed to be in keeping with our house and also in keeping with sort of the surrounding rural area. It's in a pretty low visibility location. It's not visible from Morton Road. It's partially visible in a small way from the river, a little bit more during the wintertime in leaf-off conditions. It's slightly visible to one set of neighbors, Bob and Gloria Fox, seen through some vegetation and the ruins of the former Ellerslie barn. But it's not very prominent, and they haven't raised any objection. We have spoken to them about it. That's pretty much it. It'll be used for the storage of, gardening material and things like that.
Who on the planning board did the site visit?
Woody and I.
Would you be so kind as to report on your findings?
Simply stated, it's perfectly appropriate for the site.
Agreed. Fits right in, you won't see it.
CAB,
We did get a letter from Bob and Gloria at Fox, they had no problem with it. We forwarded our consistency review, very simple. It fits right in with the historic district, we have no problem with it.
Questions or discussion from the public? Questions from members of the board? That being the case, I have a draft seeker resolution I'll read. The Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board hereby acts with an uncoordinated environmental quality review as follows on the matter of a proposed action involving an August 4th, 2013 application by Joanne Gray and John Lyons for special use permit pursuant to Town Code 125 zoning, section 12540A3, development near water body in the matter of the proposed construction of a 384 square foot accessory storage building on 8.504 acre parcel, otherwise being 224 Morton Road in the Historic Preservation HB20 district in the town's local waterfront revitalization area. All is both located on overlays of a property survey map and aerial photography depicted in architectural elevations and otherwise described in the application and supporting documentation, including narrative, short EAF, and coastal assessment form, and subject of an application for area variance submitted to the ZBA concerning the maximum aggregate square footage of roofed accessory structures permitted on the parcel. 1. Determines upon review of the EAF Part 1 certified by the applicants and dated July 8, 2013, and its own completion of EAF Part 2 in consideration of both the criteria for determining significance set forth in Title 6, Part 617.7C NYCRR, and the pertinent coastal policies set forth within the Town of Rhinebeck Local Waterfront Revitalization Program. The proposed action as prescribed in the application and being an unlisted action will cause no potential significant adverse impact on the environment, and thus uses a negative declaration, determination of non-significance, deeming an environmental impact statement to not be required and stating such will not be prepared. 2. Authorizes the chairman to so execute the first page of the short EAF and directs the planning board clerk to distribute and file without requirement for publication the short EAF with negative declaration annotation in the manner set forth in the seeker implementing regulations, Title 6, Part 617.12 NYCRR. Could I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Could I hear a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second? Second?
Second?
Thank you down there. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. The public hearing is closed. And we will have an approval resolution for you shortly this evening.
Okay.
Thanks,
Thank you
John.
very much. I want to say thank you to the board members, in particular for Woody and Sharon for coming down and taking a look. I appreciate it.
And John,
So thank you, John, for,
and John, for your information, that resolution includes a recommendation to the ZBA.
Right.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we have 7:05. We have 2 minutes to go.
So read this.
Do you think I can do that in 2 minutes?
Actually, you have it. Now, you're in the supplement.
It's in the supplement.
In the supplement because of the circumstances with the ZBA.
Okay, here we go. Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board hereby acts as follows on the August 4th, 2013 application by Joanne Gray and John Lyons for special use permit pursuant to Town Code 125 zoning, section 12540A3, development near water body in the matter of the proposed construction of a 384 square foot accessory storage building on 8.504 acre parcel, otherwise being 224 Morton Road in the Historic Preservation HB20 district in the town's local waterfront revitalization area. All is both located on overlays of a property survey map and aerial photograph depicted in architectural elevations and otherwise described in the application and supporting documentation, including narrative, short EAF, and coastal assessment form, and both subject of an application for area variance submitted to the ZBA concerning the maximum aggregate square footage of roofed accessory structures permitted on the parcel and being the proposed action subject of a negative declaration determination of non-significance heretofore issued by the planning board. 1. Acknowledges the ZBA's processing, including conduct of a public hearing on September 4th, 2013 of the above cited application for area variance pursuant to which the maximum aggregate square footage of roofed accessory structures permitted on the subject parcel would be increased from the HB20 district standard of 1,500 feet to 2,304 square feet, being sufficient to accommodate the proposed construction, and understands the ZBA was not in position to take action on the application at that time, but anticipates doing so on September 18th, 2013, due to the absence of recommendation from the planning board as to its disposition of the application, which recommendation was due to an administrative oversight not more timely considered by the planning board's August 19th, 2013 meeting. 2, based upon an understanding of the practical difficulty described in the application and a determination by the planning board that no planning or environmental issues would be created by the proposed construction that would be accompanied if the requested area variance was granted, advises the ZBA to apply the criteria and procedures set forth in Town Code Chapter 125, Section 124C and D, and if upon doing so, in agreement with the planning board's observations, grant the requested area variance. 3, finds as noted upon review of the town's waterfront advisory committee and considered prior to the issuance of the aforementioned negative declaration, the proposed construction to be consistent with the pertinent coastal policy set forth within the town's LWRP. 4, further finds as noted upon review of the town's conservation advisory board, the proposed accessory building will not be visible from the Hudson River during the
A
summer.
modification in this paragraph will be only partially visible from the Hudson River during the
During the summer
summer,
month.
and only a bit more so under leafless conditions.
Very good.
Yeah.
5, finds the proposed construction to in no way contravene either the general standards for all special permit uses set forth in Town Code, Chapter 125, Section 12567, or the specific standards set forth in Section 12540A3 for development within 1,000 feet of the high water mark of the Hudson River. 6, grant the requested special use permit contingent upon the ZBA's grant of the area variance at the extent requested. 7, upon both the planning board's receipt of a copy of the ZBA resolution granting the area variance to the extent requested and the applicant's payment of any outstanding fees or reimbursable amounts due the town of Rhinebeck with respect to the submission, review, and processing of this application under Town Code Chapter 125, the town's fee schedule, and related executed escrow agreement, authorizes the clerk to notify the town zoning enforcement officer of the planning board's grant of the special use permit. 8, subsequent to such notification by the clerk, authorizes the zoning enforcement officer to issue a building permit and subsequently a certificate of occupancy use for the proposed improvement, subject to compliance with all of the codes, laws, rules, and/or regulations within his purview. Did I hear a motion to approve?
So moved. Second. Second.
Discussion. Hearing now, pull the board. Woody?
Aye.
Jesse?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Richard?
Aye.
Sharon?
Aye.
Melody?
Aye.
And I will vote aye. And this brings us right up to our next public hearing. The Office of J. William Commissar, LLS, for Alan Ryan III, Alan Ryan IV, Melissa Kaiser, and Sally Shaw, New York State Route 9 and Mill Road subdivision plat. Public hearing on application for subdivision plat approval under Town Code, Chapter 101, subdivision of land, to authorize lot line alteration between parcel 1A and parcel 2, filed map number 10726, being, and the tax parcel numbers are given, in the rural agricultural RA10 district in the town's local waterfront revitalization area, resulting in a 10.35 acre residential building lot and a 31.15 acre agricultural use parcel, being an unlisted action under seeker. Yes.
Good evening. I'm Kay Commissar from the Surveyor's Office, and I have with me Michael Katz, who is the attorney for the Ryan family. And before I begin to do any kind of a presentation, Michael has some comments that he would like to make to the board about the project.
Well, we recently became aware of certain concerns about preserving some old trees that line part of the property that is in question. And in order to address that, we're asking for a continuance so that we can redraw the requested transfer to enable the property to retain its and preserve the possible old stone wall and the existing trees. We'd like some guidance from the planning board, if possible, as to just what, as to where we will need to put in a driveway, but we will begin that process as soon as possible.
I think I can speak to this. Sharon and I were the ones doing the site visit. And when I went out to look at it, one of the prospective buyers of the housing site, which is the smaller of the two lots,
Yes.
had spoke to me and was asking if the site, if the access to the point, and you might want to put the map up on the, just so people can see what we're talking about, if the access point could be altered, so, or actually, I should say the transfer of property could be altered somewhat to accommodate an existing access point and cut through the stone wall. The property's along, Route 9, and it's corn in both of these sites, and right up here to the upper hand, where her hand is right now, is Grassmere. And what you have here is this lot.
Mill Road.
Right. And the small lot there was created under a subdivision and apparently was supposed to be then attached to another lot which had road frontage, and that didn't happen.
It was supposed to be attached to this one.
Okay, and I guess it never happened, so we basically have a lot there with absolutely no road
No
frontage.
access, right.
Correct.
So what has been proposed to do is this lot line change is to take some of the land from the big lot, put it on the small one to give access to Mill Road, and then I believe the ZBA is also looking at a variance in terms of the amount of frontage. To reduce
Correct.
the amount of frontage required.
Correct. This triangle was what we were proposing, but it's become apparent that there's some old trees and a
Stone
wall
wall.
that needs some
Right.
repair that continues along here. I'm sorry, it's up here, so that we need to, apparently we need to create a driveway that will begin somewhere along here, and we won't ask for as much of the road frontage as is shown here.
When I went to look at it, I noticed that there is, and if you've seen it, if you're going in Mill Road, before you get to Grassmere's entrance, on the same side of the road, and Jonathan, correct me if I'm wrong, there's a farmer's road going in to the small parcel, which also accesses the large parcel for farming. And the little triangle basically grants the access from Mill Road to the building property, but it then requires they cut through an existing stone wall and old trees, which apparently has been there for quite some time. In reviewing our zoning law, wherever practicable, we are required to do what we can to protect old stone walls, old tree lines, things of that sort, to the extent we possibly can. The fact that this Farmers Road actually comes through, and there's already a break that was probably created a long time ago through the stone wall into the building lot, suggests to me that there is obviously access does exist. And so what I would propose to the people doing the subdivision is, can we just rearrange this little bit of land here to permit them to use that existing access point as their driveway, rather
Right.
than have to cut through the stone wall again and take trees down.
Well, I think what we will propose is that instead of there being a triangle, there be a rectangle that goes along here.
Right.
And we'll have the least, it will take away the least amount of property from the larger parcel. And the question will be, how wide does the driveway have to be?
And I think the thing you want to do there is, I've spoken with Kathy Kinsella, and she thinks that the point is excellent from a sightline standpoint, going both ways. That's perfect. She can tell you, off the top of my head, I don't believe a driveway has to be more than, what, is it 12 feet, Art?
12.
12 feet? Is that the spec?
12 feet, the cartway itself, 12.
Yeah.
The amount of a property available has to be a minimum of 15 feet to constitute access under the town law.
Okay, so they would require that much for the apron.
Yeah, 280 of the town law
And
requires
then
15.
The variance you're asking for, basically, is to then reduce the actual frontage to what you actually need to meet the physical requirement for the apron and for the access point.
So what is the minimum space for a driveway
Well,
width?
to constitute access under the town law of the state of New York, you have to have 15 feet in order to qualify for a building permit. So that's that's one of the controlling factors. The driveway itself does not have to be that wide. I believe it's 12 feet under
12 feet.
I believe it's 12 feet under the local requirement.
And if we were to do, if Kathy approves 15 feet, would this be enough frontage? Is that another question, how
Well,
much frontage we need?
Yeah, the frontage actually and the actual physical apron are two separate.
Yeah.
Basically, the frontage is, in a given zoning, is how much frontage you have to have on a road. And I think in
Right.
this district, it's
400.
400 feet or something like that.
Right, but that's what we're asking the variance.
That's the
Right,
variance.
and you're going to
Anything
still
less.
ask for a variance, but the configure, but now you know exactly how much physical area you need. And so you can now, basically base the variance request on what you actually need, and basically you're going to probably take it off of where the existing road is, and maybe it has to be a little wider at where it hits Mill Road, but other than that, it goes in very nicely and turns very nicely.
And are there any parameters on what short of 400 feet is acceptable?
Well, it's a large thing you're asking for, but on the other hand, our zoning law also asks you not to break through stone walls and not to cut down old trees, and it already does exist. And since a mistake was apparently made when the consolidation deed was not filed with the county creating this, we actually have a lot which has no frontage. There's not a whole lot you can do. I think the argument can be made that you just need what you need to get off the road, to get the driveway in there without, because you certainly don't want to in any way negatively impact the ability of the farmer to farm on that property. You don't want to go through the stone wall, you don't want to cut down the trees, so it seems there's a very good argument here for why you just need what you need. And I think the ZBA, I would imagine, would be receptive to that.
Right.
The only other factor that's involved is that technically the lot without conforming frontage, any frontage of less than 400 feet, is technically a flag lot under the zoning law. And a flag lot has to have a minimum frontage of either 40 or 50 feet under the zoning law. So you could not request a reduction to less than that particular number.
So it has, when you say a reduction, there's no...
You couldn't request a reduction from the 400-foot standard.
Right.
To less than either 40 or 50 feet, depending upon what number's in the zoning law for a minimum flag lot.
Right. So that's really what we have to be
That's your control.
guided by, is the 40 to 50 feet depending. Great. Well, thank you very much.
And so what I'd like to, I think what's being requested is that we continue this public hearing to our next meeting, because they want to, go back and reconfigure and get that all squared away. And then we'll take this back up again. So I think we will continue this public hearing until October, whatever that day
21.
is. And I think this will be the second public hearing that night?
Yep, 6:40.
6:40. Did I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent.
Great. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Just would want to get some clarification. I'm trying to sort of read this map from the side.
How about the front?
Yeah. And we're obviously on the Grasmere property, so we're concerned about all of this. So in this, what we're looking at here is, just if we can point out the Grasmere Drive.
Right here. You see where it says dirt drive?
Yeah, and we're talking about then, this is the existing tree line.
Yes.
And this is the stone wall.
Well, we don't, let me add, we haven't located the trees, we have not located the wall.
Yeah.
That's next.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, but if so coming in, so this is Mill Road, and then the Grasmere Drive, so our Grasmere Drive is here.
the edge of Mill Road is here,
Yep.
and your drive is the dotted line.
And you're
Coming
proposing
in.
putting the access road where?
That farm.
It's that little farm road that's already there.
I assume where
your
that-
driveway enters Mill Road.
Where the break is in there
Probably
now,
within
where it goes
20
into
feet or
plow.
so.
Yeah, see, the concern we have is going to be the use of that driveway and creating confusion for anybody that would enter. And obviously, there's signage, but there's also, a situation where it could be problematic, both for, for any of the guests that are coming in the Grasmere Drive, but also for the people that live down at the end of the driveway. That would be my concern, is that if it's too easy for people to take the wrong turn, then it could be a situation where it becomes
Well, I hope you'll have
intrusive.
a sign where at your driveway.
Yeah, we would, but right now, there's also the historic nature of the arrival situation with those pillars, and the idea that you've got a very clear situation is a very private situation.
Well, we won't have any pillars.
I'm not, but what I am...
There won't be any confusion, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, what I think we're going to have to do, what I would feel comfortable doing is really only walking the property with you guys and trying to get a sense of exactly what you're thinking about where, because when I just look at this map, I don't know if it matters, but I've got a concern about it. So, I just want to put that out there, and I would ask that we work together to come up with something that would work for that. Because it's a very important entrance. It's a historical entrance that's always got a lot of history that impacts that situation is something that's pretty important. So anyway, I would ask that we have a dialogue.
Well, you still have to locate all the trees and the wall anyway, you said, so a quick phone call shouldn't make that much of a difference, and everybody be happy when we're done.
Yeah. Yeah, I was under the impression we were talking about the farm entrance that was up on this side of the tree line, which is existing. That's what I had thought was being proposed and considered this entire time. So when I'm seeing it in that context, it's very different.
It wouldn't make any sense for it to be here because this is the property that...
They always use.
Yeah, I know. Well, I actually misunderstood the way these lines were getting drawn.
Yeah.
So that's part of where this is coming from. I hadn't realized how the survey worked.
Yeah.
And when I was thinking of the existing farm road, I had always thought of the existing farm road as invisible. So anyway, I just would ask that we try to
If you give me your phone number,
Yeah.
we'll keep in touch.
absolutely. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Tom.
Okay, we have one more public hearing tonight. Charles Wild and Ralph Catella, 28 and 15 Peacock Road subdivision plat. Public hearing on application for subdivision plat approval under Town Code Chapter 101, subdivision of land to authorize lot line alteration, compensating 1,315 square foot annexation parcels between Lot 33 and Lot 34 of Peacock Estates, filed map number 8141A and 8141C, and being tax map parcel numbers given, and in the rural countryside RC5 district being under seeker. And who's doing a presentation on this one?
Somebody. Ralph, I guess. Decker?
Here.
Yes. I think Richard saw that coming.
Joan, once again, notice requirements all met? Okay.
Good evening. I'm Ralph Catella. My construction company owns Lot 34, which is about 10 and plus acres in size. Mr. Wiles owns the adjoining parcel to the south of that, Lot 33 in Rhinebeck Estates. We are proposing to swap two pieces of land, a couple hundred square feet, and solves a situation for him and a situation for me. When the subdivision was first created back in the 80s, they had a lot of spoil from the rock that was cleared out for the town roads that were built in there. And they created, on my lot, Lot 34, they created a long driveway with the excess rock that they have. Up until about a month ago, I didn't realize that the tail end of this road leading into a lot that's, as of this point, undeveloped, actually crossed over the corner of Mr. Wiles' property. Mr. Wiles, in the meantime now, is constructing a house on Lot 33, which is a flag lot, approximately 3+ acres in size. And he is in the process, maybe he already secured a variance because he didn't have the frontage that he needed, the 50 feet of frontage, setback, I'm sorry, not frontage, the setback from where the lot opened up in the flag to the actual front of his house. So this lot line adjustment will cure both of those issues. It gives Mr. Wiles a little more room in front of his house to grade and to finish off what's directly in front of him. And also, we're trading the land that I'm getting in return allows the driveway that's been in existence since the 1980s to be fee simple on my property without the need for a right-of-way.
Who did the site visit?
Richard and I. Jesse and I.
Okay. Richard, what'd you think?
As you've already stated, I mean, what it does is it takes a bad situation and just makes it right. There's nothing crazy about what they're doing. There is a lot of fill that was definitely moved at one point in time, and they used that access road in and out to clear. To ask him to move that driveway would be not only ridiculous because of the terrain, but also you would be cutting down some beautiful old trees and everything. It's a nice site where the house is now. It's very comfortable. You have no clue that you're only a quarter mile away from 9G. You feel like you're in the middle of the woods, and it's very nice. They did a nice job placing it.
Jesse?
Yeah, I agree. It makes sense to do it. What makes sense on paper makes sense out in the field.
CAB?
Perfect solution for something that is fairly simple. Congratulate you to figuring it out. It's nice when neighbors work together.
Any questions from members of the planning board? Members of the public, any comments? Okay, well, I have a seeker resolution here I can read for you. The Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board hereby acts as follows. On the August 6, 2013 application by Charles Wiles and Ralph Catella, the sketch plan review and subdivision plat approval under Town Code Chapter 101, subdivision of land, authorized lot line alteration compensating 1,215 square foot annexation parcels between Lot 33 and Lot 34 of Peacock Estates. And in the rural countryside RC5 district, all is depicted on a surveyor's map entitled Lot Line Revision, lots 33 and 34, filed map 8141A, prepared by John Decker LS, and dated August 6, 2013, and otherwise described in a short EAF and other supporting documentation. Determines upon review of the EAF Part 1 certified by, I guess we have that, I just don't have it in front of me right now.
It's in the file.
And its own completion of EAF Part 2 in consideration of the criteria for determining significance set forth in Title 6, Part 617.7C NYCRR, that the proposed action as described in the application and being an unlisted action will cause no potential significant adverse impact on the environment and thus issues a negative declaration, determination of non-significance, deeming an environmental impact statement to not be required and such will not be prepared. 2, authorizes the chairman to so execute the first page of the short EAF and directs the planning board clerk to distribute and file without requirement of publication the short EAF with negative declaration annotation in the manner set forth within Secret Implementing Regulations Title 6, Part 617.12 NYCRR. Could I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Could I hear a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Public hearing is closed. And, as luck would have it, we have a resolution of approval here as well. How do I do that? The Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board here acts as follows. On the August 6, 2013 application by Charles Lyle and Ralph Catella for sketch plan review and subdivision plat approval on Town Code Chapter 101, land, subdivision of land to authorize lot line alteration compensating 1,315 square foot annexation parcels between Lot 33 and 34 of Peacock Estates in the rural countryside RC5 district. All is depicted on a surveyor's map entitled Lot Line Revision, Lots 34 and 33 and 34, filed map 8141A, prepared by John Decker, LS, and dated August 6, 2013, and otherwise described in a short EAF and other supporting documentation. Approves the application for subdivision plat approval and authorizes the chairman to stamp and sign the subdivision plat upon the applicant's satisfaction of each of the below conditions and requirements within the 180 calendar days of the planning board's adoption of this resolution. 1. Submission of subdivision plat drawings in the number and form specified within Town Code Chapter 101, including thereon all required stamp, seals, and certifications. 2. Stamping of the subdivision plat as non-jurisdictional subdivision or for filing purposes only by the Dutchess County Health Department. 3. Submission for review as to sufficiency by the planning board and subsequent recording the Dutchess County Clerk's office simultaneously with the filing of the approved subdivision plat drafts of consolidation or merger deeds whereby each of the 1,315 square foot annexation parcels will be combined with the lot to which it is being annexed, thus obviating what would otherwise be the creation of non-complying 1,315 square foot parcels. 4. Payment of any outstanding fees or reimbursable amounts due the town of Rhinebeck with respect to the subdivision, with respect to the submission, review, and processing of this application under Town Code Chapter 101, the town's fee schedule, and related executed escrow agreement. Could I hear a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Very good. Any discussion? I will poll the board. Woody?
Aye.
Jesse?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Richard?
Aye.
Sharon?
Aye.
Melody?
Aye.
And I vote aye. So you're all set. Okay. Now we have Jonathan Mensch Grassmere LLC, Mill Road, and New York State Route 9 South, special use permit, wetlands permit, and site plan approval. Continuation of seeker compliance process as advanced on August 19, 2013, through declaration of lead agency status and acceptance of preliminary GEIS scoping outline in the matter of proposed Grassmere Farm Hotel, a Country Inn 2, in the Rural Agriculture RA10 and Hudson River Natural Historic Landmark Districts and the town's local waterfront revitalization area, being a type 1 action under seeker. Review of comments received upon distribution of preliminary GEIS scoping outline and consideration of issuance of final GEIS scoping outline.
This may be a relatively brief conversation, I'm not sure. Joan, am I correct that no comments were received from either interested agencies, involved agencies, or the the planning board engineer, other than what Ray communicated to me, that he basically had no comments? Okay, so that takes care of number one. Number two is would be whether the planning board has any comment or discussion, additional comment or discussion on the preliminary scoping document, because if there is no comment, the draft resolution I prepared for you and as set forth in my meeting notes would be greatly simplified. It would simply, in paragraph 1, acknowledge the circulation that has occurred of the preliminary and basically substitute for all the other language in that resolution another paragraph basically stating that in the absence of any comments from either confirmed or potential involved agencies or interested agencies, or the planning board engineer on the preliminary GEIS scope outline reclassifies the same as the final GEIS scope outline and authorizes the chairman to so notify each of the listed parties. That would be correct as you understand it, John? Yeah. Other than that, I had a procedure set up where, the comments made by the agencies were going to be integrated by me in a draft, and that's basically the situation.
So, members of the planning board, did you see anything missing? Anything that you wanted to see appended, amended, added? Seemed pretty complete to me.
Which was Ray's position too. And
Yeah.
so what you have is a draft procedural resolution on page 19. The preamble paragraph and the first paragraph are retained. Paragraphs 2 through 5, as written, are replaced by paragraph 2 as I just drafted a couple of moments ago.
What I will do is I will do paragraph
Right.
1 and 2 and then hand off.
Right.
Okay.
The preamble in the first.
Yes, well, that's, yes. Cool. The Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board hereby acts as follows. In the matter of a proposed action by Mensch Grassmere LLC applicant involving development of the Grassmere Farm Hotel within a 250 acres set aside of a 525 acre property on Mill Road and New York State Route 9 South in the rural agricultural 10 district and the Hudson River National Historic Landmark Districts and the town's local waterfront revitalization area, being the subject of an application for a special use permit for a Country Inn2 submitted to the planning board on July 1st, 2013, and heretofore classified as a type 1 action under seeker for which coordinated environmental quality review is required. 1. Accept certification by John, thank you, I didn't want to screw that up, Fontaine, of Greenman Pedersen, Inc., acceptable to the planning board clerk, that the preliminary generic environmental impact statement, scope outline, accepted by the planning board on October 19th, 2013, was distributed under cover of a transmittal memorandum from Chairman Trimble on October 23rd, 2013, to each of the confirmed or potential involved agencies, namely New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, Central and Region 3 offices, the New York State Department of Transportation, Region 8 office, the New York State Department of Health, Bureau of Water Supply, the Dutchess County Health Department, Environmental Health Division, the Village of Rhinebeck, Town of Rhinebeck Zoning Board of Appeals, the Town of Rhinebeck Highway Superintendent, and the Town of Rhinebeck Zoning Administrator, and interested agencies namely the U.S. Department of the Army Corps of Engineers, New York District, the New York State Office for Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, Field Service Bureau, the New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets, the New York State Department of State Coastal Management Program, the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development, the Town of Rhinebeck Conservation Advisory Board, the Town of Rhinebeck Building Department, and the Supervisor of the Town of Rhinebeck.
In the absence of any concerns by the planning board or any comments from either confirmed or potential involved agencies, interested agencies, or the planning board engineer on the preliminary GEIS scope outline, reclassifies the same as the final GEIS scope outline and authorizes the chairman to so notify each of the cited parties.
Could I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Now you may submit your GEIS.
Art, do you need us to revise that as the final and resubmit to all the agencies, or?
What we're going to do is, for the record, make whatever changes are necessary, in terms of wordsmithing to use the term final. In terms of the submission to the agencies, you don't have to resubmit the entire document. I'll simply provide for the chair some kind of a brief 1 or 2 line letter to this effect that, we've accepted the preliminary as the final. If we bury agencies in too much paper, we're going to, they won't respond when they actually get the GEIS or something.
Excellent.
Also, I know it's kind of off the record, but with respect to the schedule that you provided, the overall comment is any schedule is doable. It looks like you've accounted for the necessary steps. 1 or 2 we may not be able to quite fit in that time frame. There's a matter of scheduling the public hearing on the special permit and things of that sort. But the sequence is correct. No one can commit to what's going to happen a month down the road or 6 months down the road. But and of course the amount of time spent by agencies in review is as you know and I know, sometimes relates to the quality of the document they receive to review. So the more complete we continue this process, the quicker it's going to move along.
Okey-doke. So you're done for tonight.
And you're projecting a submission here,
We're shooting for
an October submission.
an October submission.
Yeah, an October submission. October 7th submission for, except for, not necessarily acceptance, but for acknowledgement of, by the planning board on its 21st in discussion. That is going to be I would trust would be a full-blown presentation, point by point of the various, discussion of the various sections and the studies. 21st it would be, yes.
Good luck.
And I think the only other comment I would have is when that, when and if that is scheduled, whether it's the 21st of October or whatever the date happens to be, that Ray be asked to be here that evening if possible.
Definitely.
It's always easy to get comment and reaction on the table firsthand and immediately.
I agree. Very good. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Moving right along. Carol Lee, 373 Atherton Road, special use permit. Initial presentation of application for special use permit under Town Code, Chapter 125, zoning attachment 2, district schedule of use regulations, and Section 12568D to authorize an accessory dwelling unit within a single-family principal residential structure on a 25.252 acre parcel in the rural countryside RC5 district. Planning board review and processing as may be timely under Town Code and seeker.
One initial comment on this application, it's really a comment on my meeting notes. I commented about square footage, what appeared to be a discrepancy in square footage. Actually, I believe it's a discrepancy on the EAF. The EAF says that the building footprint is 17 by 24. If you go to the plans and scale of plans, it looks like the building footprint is more in the vicinity of 12 by 24.
Okay.
12 by 24, 2 stories, equates very near to the 616 square feet, whereas I pointed out 17 by 24, 2 floors is far in excess of that.
Considerably larger.
So that inconsistency does not exist.
Okay.
And other than that, I stand by the procedural resolution. I want to just go out and talk to those folks for a minute.
Very good. Are you doing the presentation? Okay.
I don't know what kind of presentation I have to make. I had thought I was in compliance. For many years, I've been on the tax rolls as a two-family house. So I never knew that I wasn't legal. So when I discovered that, I filled out the application with the questions and put together the paperwork that's necessary. John helped me with that. So I think I have everything there, including a letter from Christian.
Right. It's a case where the apartment exists. I think there was a misunderstanding given, that the house had been at a certain level. And so basically what we're here to do tonight is to try and legitimize what happened. It's one of those situations. I don't think there's anything odd or strange about it, nothing that the Christian found to be odd or strange about it, but basically we go through the process, we do the site visit and that sort of thing. At that time, anything inappropriate came up, I think we would then have it before us. At this point, I don't think there's really any glaring issues with this particular application. So having said that, anyone have any questions before I proceed to read the resolution? Okay. The Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board hereby acts as follows. On the August 29, 2013 application for Carol Lee for special use permit under Town Code Chapter 125 zoning, attachment 2, district schedule of use regulations, and section 12568D to authorize an accessory dwelling unit within a single-family principal residential structure on a 25.252 acre parcel in the rural countryside RC5 district. All is depicted and or otherwise described in the application, including supporting sketch site and floor plans and a short EAF Part 1 certified by Mrs. Lee. 1, accepts the application and supporting data as adequate for commencing planning board consultation, planning board consultant, and public review. 2, classifies the proposed action as described in the application as an unlisted action under seeker for which coordinated environmental quality review is not required and will not be conducted. Delegates planning board members. Who wants to go out in the fresh air?
Where is it?
It's on,
Eckerd Hook.
Eckerd Hook.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll go.
I have Richard and Jesse.
Yeah.
To conduct a field visit to the project site and report their observations at the time of public hearing. 4, refers the application to the Town Conservation Advisory Board for review and comment. Schedules a public hearing on the application for Monday, October 21st, 2000 at, wait a minute. 6, what?
45.
6:45? It's the third one, okay. Thank you. At 6:45 PM, and directs the clerk to provide or otherwise cause notice and posting thereof pursuant to the requirements set forth within Town Code Chapter 125 zoning. Definitely get with Joni, and she'll tell you what you have to do about the notification. Get with Joni. 6, without prejudice to the planning board's consideration of any input received prior to or at the public hearing, authorizes the planning consultant to prepare working drafts of an EAF Part 2 negative declaration under seeker and a conditional approval resolution for review and consideration by the board when timely and if deemed appropriate. Could I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. What you want to do is get together with Richard or Jesse, give them your contact information, and they will schedule the site visit. And then they will tell Jeff when the site visit is, so the CAB can participate if they choose to.
Do you want to give me a phone number?
I have, I see your email address in here. Something mindspring.com.
I don't hear very well.
Oh, your email address is in here, I think.
You have my email address.
Yeah. So I'll contact you on email. That's easy?
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have 2 more items. They're ZBA referrals that we didn't have before, and actually we already did one. We have 1 referral. We did the Grant and Lyons one already. These were supposed to get last month, but for some reason they didn't come up. But we have 1, which I think you're going to enjoy. You've all been seeing the gas station down the road. Don't look at me like that. It's going to be fun. You've all seen the gas station at 9 and 9G, and they're in business now. It was determined they did not need any site plan review because they weren't changing their footprint, they weren't changing anything on the site use or anything like that. However, they are changing the signage. And they are going to the ZBA, and you all have copies of the Dutchess County letter about what they think of this. What I went down to ensure that we had proper information is I went down and swiped the file from the ZBA. So I have to return this. But it'll show you what they're proposing to do because I have the color pictures here. And, let me
Don't you
see.
think you should get up and do a presentation on the board like everyone else does?
I have to recuse myself.
Are you on mobile?
I'm sorry?
Are you on
I'm
mobile?
on mobile.
I've drafted your resolution, by the way.
Okay.
At least I think I have.
It's, basically what they're asking for is, well, I'll read right from the Dutchess County thing. It's pretty easy here. They're asking for a total signage is limited on the site under zoning law to 30 square feet, and they propose 90 square feet. Monument signs are limited to 12 square feet. They want 51 square feet. Internally illuminated signs we prohibit, and they are proposing 4 internally illuminated signs. And as you can see, among those signs are signs on the canopy. I don't know, do we define roof canopy as a roof?
Gas station canopies are roofs.
Yeah.
They are roofs. Okay, so that particular,
Roof signs are prohibited.
yeah.
The county's provided a
So they've-
very, very comprehensive and very
Job here.
accurate analysis.
They have.
Yeah, it's the first one we've seen.
Yeah. Well, they took it very seriously. And as you can see, they are asking the ZBA not to grant the 3 specific variances, although the ZBA may do something in terms of perhaps a slightly larger size for the monument sign,
Why?
but certainly not what they're asking for.
They're in the
here.
most visible location in the community.
Yeah, it's, and my understanding is when the applicants went and spoke to the ZBA, went down to Christian and whatnot, and I think spoke with JD and maybe even David, they realized they weren't going to get what they were asking for. But anyway, what we're here to do tonight, and I think you already have the resolution.
I just drafted something as I was sitting here after reading the county comments saying, why reinvent the wheel? What I drafted is that the Town Planning Board concurs with the observations made by the Dutchess County Planning Department in its Section 239 General Municipal Law Referral Response Letter of September 6, 2013, concerning proposed mobile gas station signage for a facility at the intersection of New York State Routes 9 and 9G, and, as in the case of the Dutchess County Planning Department, recommends the requested area variances be denied in their entirety as severely inconsistent with the Town of Rhinebeck design guidelines.
And what I have here is I'm sort of sending around the pictures that the applicant provided of what they're proposing to do.
While you're looking up that picture, I'm going to make a comment. There's a sign on a gas station in the town of Rhinebeck that's illegal. It was cited. It's never been resolved. So no matter what we do on this one, there's always going to be a precedent of one that's been dealt with, and that's the station up on the bridge.
Shell station, yeah. Woody's right. They were cited, and then there was no follow-up when they refused to...
That illuminated sign that says what the price of gas is.
Right.
Where is that?
Shell.
The Shell station?
9G. It's been up there since Shell took it over.
Yeah.
It's the one near the bridge
The old mobile station.
Okay.
This is the picture of the monument sign. on the side.
Unfortunately, we don't have any kind of an architectural review board in this town.
Not a question of
And we should.
architectural, it's specifically stated that it's an illuminated, no illuminated signs, and it's an illuminated up there.
No, I mean, I personally like to see the prices when I'm driving up. Otherwise, I mean, if it skyrockets, I go past it. But they're ugly. They're ugly. But we don't have anything. I'm not impressed with that sign next to CJ's there. What is that, Web?
I'm not either.
It kind of looks like this fruity, fluorescent-looking thing.
Somebody said the other day that you can't really read it at night.
No, you can't.
And it's supposed to be turned off, too. When their business closes, they're not supposed to have that sign on.
they don't.
So that's-
Well, it's just that it's very hard to visualize some of these sitting here and looking at a picture, but I can assure you that one looks terrible. I think they did a great job at the Mid-Hudson.
And this was supposed to be similar to that, and it didn't work.
You know, these are just big and loud and ugly. Even the canopy, does it really need to be a bright blue like that? Can't they tone it down and make it warm?
Mobile's color, right?
How much, when we did the approval for the Chrysler dealership across the street, how much did we allow them beyond the limits?
They got a bit more.
Well, first of all, those were wall signs, and so they were able to use the linear footage of the walls as well as, so I don't really remember.
What I'm just saying is consistency.
That's a good question.
Well, they also reduced from the signage that had been there.
Yeah, they did, oh, yeah.
It was a different situation.
They took down one monument sign, as I recall, in the process, and then, I think that's what they did. I honestly don't remember the entire details of that particular, looking at the file.
I think the monument sign got a little bigger to conform with the Chrysler GMC.
But they'd had, as I recall, they'd had two monument signs there.
It wasn't
They took
that
one-
much.
But they took one away, they just had one.
But they put extras on the building. I think they
Yes,
did that with
yes.
the extra two or something.
Yeah.
I think it's important that we have some kind of consistency with this stuff. I mean, everyone that comes in front of us, it comes in front of us and it goes out. I don't think we've denied anyone, have we?
We've
worked with them.
We've looked at them, we reviewed them, we made some suggestions, and but we haven't denied it.
I think we've been pretty good. The thing that is upsetting, at least to me, is that there was no follow-up on that Shell station. It was cited by the CEO, and there's nothing we can do about that. We can't enforce. But the town, I think now, they have hired a prosecuting attorney, they have a process, and in fact, Christian and this attorney are working together, so that should not happen again. Anyway, you heard Art's resolution. I guess I'll ask for a motion to approve in a second, then any further discussion.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Any further discussion on Art's?
It's just basically referencing the letter from the county.
Yeah, agreeing with the
And following
county.
their recommendation, agreeing with their
So we're just
recommendation.
going to use them as our, the county feels this way and we agree with them.
We agree with them, yeah.
So what's the next step for this, for the signage?
Well, basically what's going to happen is the ZBA can overrule the county. the ZBA could say, we're not going to give you 51 square feet, but we're going to give you 30. The ZBA has the discretion to do anything with it.
But they could give them the 51, too.
They could give them the 51,
Okay.
too.
The only provision of law is that if the ZBA goes against the recommendation of the county, the ZBA has to do it by a majority plus one of their board, and in order to consummate their decision, has to file a report with statement of justification within 7 days of their action with the county planning agency.
That works.
Any more discussion?
Yeah, they really need to put some flags or something up there just so that you know that they're open. It's been so long, I haven't gone there to get gas or anything. And if these are really the prices, I'm going to start going.
Yeah, right.
I wish. I don't think
Wishful
those are.
thinking.
Must be a very old one, huh?
Okay, well, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. And that's all I have for tonight. Do you have pictures down there still, or they've all been returned?
Time to kill them.
I got them, Joni. I have to get those back to JD, or my life is forfeit. Could I hear a motion to adjourn?
So be it.
Second? Second. We stand adjourned at 7:50. Well done.
This makes up for the morning.